Good day and welcome to the Zuffa conference call. Today's conference is being recorded. At this time, for opening remarks and introductions, I'd like to turn the conference over to Mr. Dave Schaller. Please go ahead, sir.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's conference call where we will discuss Zuffa's purchase of Strikeforce. Today on the call, we're joined by Chairman and CEO Lorenzo Fertitta, UFC President Dana White, and Strikeforce CEO Scott Coker. At this time, we will open it up for questions.
This is a historical day for the sport of mixed martial arts. And, this was something that we've thought long and hard about. And, SVSE have been great partners. And, I think that they wanted to get back to their hockey business and their expansion of sports business, which is their core business. And so we had a long conversation, and, we decided to start looking at different offers. And that's when we started talking to Lorenzo.
Now, right now, what we're looking to do is run these Strikeforce shows on Showtime, and like I said in the interview, business as usual. Scott's going to run this thing. Scott's going to communicate with all the fighters, continue to put fights on Showtime, and that's not what we plan on doing right now. No. We own Strikeforce. And right now, the way that the production works, Showtime runs the production for Strikeforce. There's a lot of things that we can do, back of the house, in-house, to help them out and make it a better experience for the fighters and the fans. But Showtime runs the production.
I believe the number is around 140 contracts.
No, there's always going to be competition. There's tons of shows that happen every weekend all over the world. There's always going to be competition. What we're doing is we continue to expand and grow the sport and grow this business. I said it a million times, and I'll say it a million more. We need more fighters. As we continue to do all the shows that we're doing here in the United States, we start pushing into these new markets. We need more guys. We need more fighters. So this isn't a thing about competition. It's about growing the sport. It's a good day for the fans. Great day for the fans.
Sure, there's plenty of promoters all around. There's more promoters here in the U.S., in Canada, obviously in Europe, and in Asia. So, painting this picture that there's not options is just entirely untrue. There's literally thousands of promotions that go on all around the world. So there's plenty of options for everybody. We talk to different networks all the time. And as you guys know, we have the ability now, we've always had the ability under our contract with Viacom and Spike to do shows on network TV. And as of so far...
And on subscription.
And on subscription, which Showtime and HBO fall into. But so far, we have not been able to do a deal with any of those networks that makes sense for us from a financial standpoint, from a business standpoint. Not to say that, we're certainly willing to sit down and continue to talk about that going forward. But as of yet, we haven't been able to figure that out. No, we'll continue to use the hexagon. Is that correct? That is currently there. The one change that we're going to implement as promoters of the show is going to be the unified rules that we use in the UFC.
Well, I wouldn't count anything out. I wouldn't say no to anything. Listen, at the end of the day, what we want to do is put on the best fights that the fans want to see. That's our job. So,
yeah, if there's an interest and the fans want to see it, as Dana says, that's what we do. My understanding is it extends through 2014. No, to make it real clear, Showtime controls the production, which includes the announcers. It includes, how the show is broadcast, all those different things. So I'm sure that we'll give our input, and whether or not they take our input and implement it or not is entirely up to them. So. I tell you, like everybody said earlier, it's just, we've put this together in a relative short fashion, and we still have a lot of planning to do. There was dialogue with an arena and a casino up there, but I think we'll continue having that dialogue, and we'll probably have a game plan and have something mapped out in the next couple of weeks as far as where we go and what cities we're going to hit and how often. So that gives us a couple of weeks, and we'll have some type of announcement.
Now, this is one of those weird situations where, we go in and do this deal with Strikeforce, and, there's a lot of people on that side of the fence that aren't big fans of mine. But, we can still do business. Scott Coker is the guy who's going to be running the day-to-day and doing everything. They're never going to have to deal with me. So it's not a big deal. And any of the other guys, they could deal with Lorenzo. If you don't like me, it doesn't mean we can't do business. Me and Tito did business for years.
I think at the end of the day, it's important for, obviously everybody to stay professional in what they're doing. These guys are professional athletes. They have signed contracts. We're going to live up to our obligations and honor our obligations. I think it's important for them to live up and honor their obligations as well.
I think it's exciting. I think that, Scott's got some interesting stuff coming up. And as time goes on, we'll see how everything shakes out, and I just think there's going to be more interest in the fight. We'll see what happens.
And there's some unfinished business over at Strikeforce too. I mean, there's a lot of great matchups, coming up, and some great shows that are on the calendar. So I think we obviously got to see how that plays out over there.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this thing just happened. We're still kind of putting all the pieces together.
No, that was a decision that was made way before this thing was inked. So it had nothing to do with it, and really had more to do with trying to find the right location for the heavyweight tournament. And once we found Dallas as the venue, we notified the fighters, and they were all okay with it. So, that had nothing to do with it.
They're the same as they were before. That's Scott's deal, not mine.
I tell you, it's something where when you think about, just the history of mixed martial arts and where it's come from and where it's gone, I'm really proud of the accomplishments that we, have made over the last 2 years. And Showtime's been great partners. But, this is something that's going on now. It's real. And, I think that the fans are going to get to see the fights eventually that they want to see. And I think that it's going to be good for mixed martial arts. It's really nothing to report on that front. I mean, we do have a vast library. I mean, tons of fights, tons of content. We have distribution on VOD on most of the major cable and satellite services. So, we're gonna use the Strikeforce library as we have used the Pride library, obviously the UFC library, WC library. I mean, fans are going to continue to be able to see the great fights that happen in Strikeforce, and what happens down the road, I don't know. There's a very complicated long-term strategy that we are trying to put in place.
And as technology continues to grow, our content is perfect, for all this new technology. And we have the largest mixed martial arts library in the world. And we will continue to cut it up and create great programming with all the different brands that we own, and provide it with all this new, we have all this content for all this new technology.
We have nearly 4,000 plus fights in our library now with the addition of Strikeforce. So a lot of good stuff in there. Yeah, I would say absolutely. I mean, just to be honest, when I look at the offices here and all the staff and their commitment behind the sport and all the resources, I think we're going to be able to fast track in a lot of different areas and really blow Strikeforce up with the resources that Zuffa will put behind it. I think that going after the Hispanic community will definitely be something that could happen, especially because we have some Hispanic champions like Nick Diaz and Gilbert Melendez. So I think that could definitely happen.
Yeah, I think that's up to the fighters. I mean, if the fighters got together and wanted to do a fighters union, the problem with that in the fight business is this really isn't a team sport. I don't think you're going to see some of the guys who are making the big money wanting to kick some of their money down to these guys that might never make it or might never be. But that isn't up to us. That's up to them. Yeah, well, again, like I said before a million times on this call, it's business as usual. Scott's going to manage those relationships, work those deals, work the contracts. That's Scott Coker's deal.
I can answer to that. I can answer to that as well. I mean, Alistair Overeem's deal and a lot of these other fighter deals, even though they are allowed to fight in Japan, we always had booking priority and had to have approval. So it wasn't just a free reign of a contract. So that won't change. I mean, with I don't know if there's going to be a K1, but with Alistair and the other fighters in the past, they've always had to have approval regardless. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. The one thing I cannot get into is, confidentiality provisions in different contracts that we're tied to. So, Fedor fights for Strikeforce, and Fedor fights on Showtime. So there is a relationship, but getting into the details of the contract, I just can't do that.
When was that?
I want to say January.
December. Sometime in the mid part of December, I think. And obviously, we kind of went through the holidays and lost some time there, and stayed in touch, and ended up getting the deal done last Friday. It wasn't really a big subject over here at the UFC. As Dana said many times, these guys have built a great brand, and it's a good-looking product on TV. And as we started thinking about it a little bit more, we just thought that it made sense to have Strikeforce in the family here. And one of the things that Scott alluded to as well is that we have a tremendous amount of resources here. We have offices here in Vegas, Toronto, London, Beijing, and we've got distribution in nearly 150 countries and territories. And, now the ability for Scott to be able to leverage all those resources, whether it be, PR, new media, marketing, everything that we do here, we think will help kind of accelerate the growth that Strikeforce was already on.
I think that's been the question. That hasn't changed from Saturday to today. I mean, those guys were champions on Saturday. They are today. And, we said at the beginning of this call, will these guys never face each other? No. Our job is to make sure the fans get the fights that they want to see. It's just a matter of when. We'll see what happens.